Hello, and welcome to another video by Wiki Whispers. Today I thought we'd try something interesting and look at the page for the 1020s. So that's the second decade in the 11th century, or third decade, something like that. It's the years 1020 to 1029, but either way, let's get right into it. The 1020s was a decade of the Julian calendar, which began on the 1st of January, 1020, and ended on December 31st, 1029. So we start with the year 1020. In the summer of 1020, Emperor Henry II conducts his third Italian military campaign. He makes plans to invade the south, but remains non-committal. On June the 15th in 1020, Byzantine troops under Catapan Basil Boioanus, supported by his ally Prince Pandulf IV, capture the fortress of Troia. Also, in the year 1020, the French city of Saint-Germain-en-Laye, if that's how you pronounce it, is founded by King Robert II, also known as Robert the Pious. King Canute the Great codifies the laws of England roughly around this time. King Gagik the First of Armenia is succeeded by Hovhannes Smbat III. So now we move on to 1021. In Europe, in November, Emperor Henry II conducts his fourth Italian military campaign. He crosses the Brenner Pass with a 60,000 strong army and reaches Verona, where he receives Lombard levies. Henry proceeds to Mantua and then into Ravenna to spend the Christmas. The Taifa of Valencia, a Moorish kingdom in Al-Andalus in modern Spain, becomes independent from the Caliphate of Cordoba, approximately this time. Moving on to Africa, we have the last evidence of indigenous Christian and non-Arabophone culture in Tripolitania, in modern Libya. This is still in 1021. Moving on to Asia. Sennacherib of Hannes Atzruni, king of Vaspurakan in Greater Armenia, surrenders his kingdom to the Byzantine Empire. He receives in return Sebastia and becomes governor of Cappadocia. Hovhannes Smbat III, who we were introduced to in the previous year in 1020, who's the king of the Armenian kingdom of Ani, was attacked by his younger brother Ashot IV and lost much of his power to him, becoming concurrent king of outlying territories. The Chinese capital city of Kaifeng has some 500,000 residents by this year, including all those present in the 9 designated suburbs. The population is over 1 million people. Still in Asia, Emperor Rajendra Chola I extends his influence over the Chola Empire to the banks of the Ganges River in North India and invades Bengal. Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni appoints Malik Ayaz to the throne, making Lahore, modern Pakistan, the capital of the Ghaznavid Empire. Moving on to the year 1022. Starting off in the Byzantine Empire, in spring we have the Battle of Sfindax. The Byzantine army under Emperor Basil II defeats the Georgians at Sfindax in modern Turkey. King George I is forced to negotiate a peace treaty, ending the Byzantine-Georgian wars. In the summer, Nikephoros Phocas, also known as Baratrakelos, conspires with the Byzantine general Nikephoros Xiphias against Basil II. The rebellion collapses and Xiphias assassinates Phocas. Now, in Europe, in the spring, Emperor Henry II divides his army into 3 columns and descends through Rome onto Capua. The bulk of the expeditionary force, 20,000 men, led by Henry, makes its way down the Adriatic coast. So, for reference, Henry II is the emperor of the Holy Roman Empire at the time. He seems to be cropping up quite a lot. Pilgrim Archbishop of Cologne marches his army down the Tyrrhenian coast to lay siege to Capua. The citizens open the gates and surrender the city to the imperial army. Pilgrim, which I believe is the Archbishop of Cologne's name, for reference, besieges the city of Salerno, for 40 days. Prince Gaimar III offers to give hostages. Pilgrim accepts the priest's son and co-prince Gaimar IV and lifts the siege. In the summer of 1022, outbreak of the plague among the German troops forces Henry II to abandon his campaign into Italy. He reimposes his suzerainty on the Lombard principalities. King Olaf Skutkonung dies and is succeeded by his son Anud Jakob, or James, as ruler of Sweden. He becomes the second Christian king in the Swedish realm. Moving down to Africa in 1022, the 14-year-old Al-Muiz ibn Badis takes, with support of the Zirid nobles, the government over and ascends as a minor to the throne of Ifriqiya, modern Tunisia. In Asia, the Chinese military has 1 million registered soldiers during the Song dynasty, an increase since the turn of the 11th century. This is an approximate date. Now focusing on religious events in the year 1022. In terms of religion, King Robert II, the Pious, burns 13 Qatari heretics at Orleans. These are the first burning victims for heresy in medieval Europe. Pope Benedict the Eighth convenes a synod at Pavia. He issues decrees to restrain simony and incontinence of the clergy. Aethelnoth, Archbishop of Canterbury, travels to Rome to obtain the pallium, which is received by Benedict the Eighth. In 1023, in Europe, the Judge-Governor of Seville in Al-Andalus, in modern Spain, takes advantage of the disintegration of the Caliphate of Cordoba and seizes power as Abbad I, founding the Abbadid dynasty. In December of the same year, Abad I declares the Taifa of Seville independent from Cordoban rule. Abd ar-Rahman V is proclaimed caliph at Cordoba. In Asia, the Ghaznavid Empire occupies Transoxiana around this year. In terms of religion, the Dom Church at Utrecht in the modern Netherlands is severely damaged by fire. Bishop Adelbold II builds a new Romanesque style church. In 1024, Emperor Basil II prepares a Byzantine expedition to invade Sicily. Governor Ahmed al-Akal appeals to the Zirids of Ifriqiya for help. They dispatch a fleet, but these are caught up in a storm and destroyed near Pantelleria. This is in the Byzantine Empire. The Battle of Lemnos. Kievan Viking raid, notably 800 men, sail through the Straits of Abydos to the Aegean Sea. From there, they make for the island of Lemnos, but are defeated by a Byzantine fleet of the Kibirayot theme. In Europe of the same year, July the 13th, 1024, Emperor Henry II dies in his imperial palace at Göttingen, modern Germany. He leaves no heirs, thereby ending the Ottonian dynasty. The Salian dynasty of the Holy Roman Empire is founded by Conrad II. In September, Conrad II, known as Conrad the Elder, is elected and crowned as King of Germany in Mainz, while both he and his cousin, Conrad the Younger, who was son of Conrad I, Duke of Carinthia, are invested as joint dukes of Franconia. Roger I of Tosny, a Norman nobleman, leaves the battlefield of the Ebro Valley after terrorizing the Saracens and capturing several towns and castles. The Reconquista during the Reconquista in the Iberian Peninsula in modern Spain. Moving on to Asia, the world's first paper-printed money, which later greatly benefits the economy of the Song dynasty, originates in the Sichuan province of China. Also in Asia, Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni sacks the Hindu religious center of Somnath and takes away a booty of 20 million dinars. On the topic of religion, on the April the 9th of 1024, Pope Benedict VIII dies after a 12-year pontificate at Rome. He is succeeded by his brother John the 19th as the 144th Pope of the Catholic Church. So, in the year 1024, we lost both Benedict VIII and Henry II. Moving on to 1025. Starting off in the Byzantine Empire, in December the 15th, Byzantine Emperor Basil II, known as the Bulgar Slayer, dies in Constantinople after a 50-year reign. Never married, he is succeeded by his brother and co-emperor Constantine VIII, who becomes sole ruler of the Byzantine Empire. Constantine calls the Sicilian invasion off. Catapan Basil Basil Boyanis diverts the Byzantine expeditionary force already assembled on Calabria to join the siege of Capua. In Europe, April the 18th, Boleslaw I, the Brave, is crowned in Gniezno as the first king of Poland. Gniezno, I think that's how you say it. He takes advantage of the interregnum in Germany and receives permission for his coronation from Pope John the 19th. However, he dies on June 17th. September. At the urging of Queen Constance of Arles, the three sons of King Robert II of France, the Pious, revolt against their father, Hugh Magnus, who is heir and co-king. Henry I and Robert I, Duke of Burgundy, start a civil war over power. On December the 25th, Christmas Day, Mieszko II Lambert, son of Boleslaw I, is crowned as King of Poland by Archbishop Hippolytus in Gniezno Cathedral. In Africa, Emir al-Muiz Mu'taz ibn Badis of the Zirid dynasty in Ifriqiya, modern Tunisia, attempts to retake Sicily, but fails. In Asia, Srivijaya, a Buddhist kingdom based in Sumatra, is attacked by Emperor Rajendra I of the Chola dynasty of southern India in a dispute over trading rights in Southeast Asia. It survives but declines in importance. We're halfway there. We're on to 1026. In Europe, in the spring, King Conrad the Elder, assembles an army of thousands of armoured knights for an expedition into Italy. He besieges Pavia and marches to Milan, where he is crowned with the Iron Crown by Archbishop Aribert as King of the Lombards. Duke William V the Great of Aquitaine, who is already en route for Italy, decides to renounce his claim to the Lombard throne and turns back. In April, Conrad II punishes, with the help of Milani's troops, the citizens of Pavia with starvation for burning down the royal palace. He appoints Aribert as his viceroy, or his imperial vicar, in Italy, and charges him to ensure that the order is complied with. In the summer, Conrad II leaves the bulk of his army at the siege of Pavia and marches to Ravenna. The Ravennan militias close the town gates and assault the imperial train. Conrad rallies his troops and takes Ravenna, taking bloody revenge. Conrad II proceeds to Pesaro, but a malarian outbreak forces him to withdraw back up north to the Po Valley. He subdues the March of Turin, where Count Ulrich Manfred II opposes the election of Conrad. In autumn of 1026, Pavia falls to the imperial forces. Only the intervention of Odilo of Cluny persuades Conrad to have mercy on the city and the defeated rebels. The Battle of Helgeå off the coast of Sweden. Naval forces of King Knut the Great's North Sea Empire defeat the combined Swedish and Norwegian royal fleets. 9-year-old Henry the Black is made Duke of Bavaria by his father, Conrad II, after the death of his predecessor, Henry V. Pietro Barbolano becomes the 28th Doge of Venice. In Asia, a Zubu revolt against the Liao dynasty is suppressed, with the Zubu forced to pay an annual tribute of horses, camels, and furs. Moving on now to 1027. In Europe, on March the 26th, on the 19th, crowns Conrad II, the Elder, and his wife Gisela of Swabia as Holy Roman Emperor and Empress, respectively, in Old St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. Knut the Great, King of Denmark and England, attends the coronation, proving his position as sole ruler of the Danish North Sea Empire. On May the 14th, King Robert II of France, the Pious, sues for peace with his sons. Henry I is crowned co-king of France at Rheims Cathedral, but has little power to rule until 1031. In August, on the 6th, Robert the Magnificent becomes Duke of Normandy after the death of his brother Richard III. Duke Sergius IV of Naples donates the county of Aversa to a band of Norman mercenaries led by Ranulf Threnio, who support him in the war with Capua. King Sigtryg Silkbeard of Dublin and sub-king Flanagan of Brecca make a pilgrimage to Rome. Ealdred is appointed abbot of Tavistock Abbey in England. Approximate date. In Asia, still in 1027, on the 16th of August, Bagrat IV becomes King of Georgia on the death of his father, George I. Queen Dowager Mariam becomes regent for her 9-year-old son. This year is also the first year of the first Rabjung 60-year cycle to start in the Tibetan calendar. In terms of science, technology and medicine, the Book of Healing, Kitab al-Shifa, or Sufficientia in Latin, is written by the Persian polymath Avicenna. It is a comprehensive scientific and philosophical encyclopedia, and it is published in this year. In the Song dynasty, a Chinese engineer, Yan Su, reinvents the 3rd century south-pointing chariot, a mechanical driven compass vehicle, as recorded in the Song Shi. Moving on to 1028. In the Byzantine Empire, on November the 11th, Emperor Constantine VIII dies in Constantinople after a 3-year reign. On his deathbed, and without a male heir, Constantine arranges that his eldest daughter, Zoe Porphyrogenita, succeeds him and marries the Byzantine nobleman Romanos III Argyros. On the 15th of November, Zoe Porphyrogenita takes the throne as Empress Consort. Her husband, Romanos III, at age 60, becomes emperor of the Byzantine Empire. In England, Knut the Great sails from England to Norway with a fleet of 50 ships. He defeats Olaf Haraldsson and is crowned King of Norway. Knut becomes the sole ruler of England, Denmark, and part of Sweden, known as the Danish North Sea Empire. In Europe, on April 14th, the 10-year-old Henry III, Henry the Black, son of Emperor Conrad II, the Elder, is elected and crowned King of Germany in Aachen Cathedral by Pilgrim, Archbishop of Cologne. King Sancho Garces III, the Great, conquers Castile, modern Spain. And finally, moving on to 1029, in Europe, Prince Pandulf IV of Capua becomes the de facto ruler of southern Italy, holding Capua and Naples himself. This in support with his powerful allies Amalfi, Salerno, and Benevento. Only the Duchy of Gaeta remains out of his grasp. Rainulf Dregnot, head of a mercenary band of Norman knights, is approached by Duke John V of Gaeta and is persuaded to change sides. With Norman help, Duke Sergius IV recovers Naples from Capuan occupation. Duke Bretislav I, Bohemian Achilles of Bohemia of the Przemyslid dynasty, reconquers Moravia from Poland in this year. And last but not least, in terms of religion, the seat of the bishopric of Zeitz is moved to Naumburg, Saxony-Anhalt in central Germany. So that is the main things that happened in the 1020s. Let me know if you enjoyed this. I can do more if people wish. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. You can check out my Patreon, links in the description below. See ya.